Hello everyone, this is Rahman, and this is the first class of our basic Linux operating system course. So on this is just an introduction, as this is the first course, and we'll know what is the operating system, how is Linux, how it is started, and some Linux distros, and how really they work, how's their differences, etc., etc. So first of all, what is an operating system? Or is just forget what is written there. You will have these slides later to download and go through these academic definitions. So operating systems are kind of a bridge or a communicators or a connections between you and the hardware. Suppose you are pressing A on the keyboard, and the operating system is saying to the hardware, hey, the user X is pressing the A on the keyboard. Um, so it's kind of a bridge that communicates between you and the hardware and applications inside of your system. So this next thing is how or is it's kind of thing how it works on a system. How an operating system really works. So an operating system is just kind of a bare bone that knows how to communicate with your hardware, but it's not of use if you can't browse files, if you can't do your daily tasks here. So it's not helping. So here comes some softwares or programs that we use, and so in this time, when we are pressing on the keyboard, we are doing that for some reason. So in this scenario, operating system does is communicate with you, gives it to the operating systems, and responds it with the kind of the displays. Our monitor, the software or the program inside it. Suppose you have clicked on the file manager on your Windows system or Linux system, and is opening the file manager. But how you are doing it? You are either doing it via the touch system on your display, or the touchpad, or the mouse. So it is communicating with the hardware and the software. So what it does is managing everything that you are doing, interacting with the hardware. So you have to keep something in mind, that an operating system can't make if something very useful unless it have some kind of additional programs or software inside it. We'll go into that when we'll see some bare bones system that have kind of absolutely nothing. That doesn't mean they don't have anything. They have anything to go further and create your own system. But with a bare bone operating system, if you are creating something from scratch, if you don't add any other softwares or utilities like file management system, then it's no use. So a operating system also works with your hardware, like a memory consumptions, storages, power, and it also have some interaction with kind of our peripheral equipment such as mouse. Why I am saying this, I will explain in a bit. Like headphones, even kind of our keyboard. Even if you are using a laptop, you can say it is attached with the hardware, but it is counted as a peripheral equipment as always. So I am saying this. They also work with mouse. Why? If you have used some kind of gaming mouse or something too expensive like Logitech, you will know that they kind of, if you want to get the full uses of them, if you want to use a Logitech kind of, I don't know, all the Logitech mouse doesn't requires an external driver. So in some cases which I have seen, they require some additional drivers to work with your operating system. So it depends. Like I have a modem, so it's also counted as a peripheral equipment, which is not a primary equipment. So they require some extra drivers. So So this is a kind of a scenario when you need some additional programs or softwares to use an operating system. So we'll talk about some of the operating systems that are available today. In current scenarios, there are nearly a lot of operating systems, like even the bare bone. Uh, the core systems are nearly 100, which I definitely don't even know about. So the most used operating system on a desktop system is Windows. Is commonly used today, and some people thinks that there is only one system, Windows. Some people think it's just Windows and Mac OS. Uh, but to be honest, there are three systems available. We'll go beyond that. The market domination and the market size basically says there are three systems, that are Windows, Mac, and Linux. But there are some other systems beyond them. Who are they basically? There is BSD, there is Solaris, there is Unix system available, and there is some other custom. I mean, some other operating system that I don't even know about. I have seen some people to use their own system. They have created a whole new system, not Windows, not based on Linux, whole new system, but they don't use it as daily driver. They just created it for fun. So it's something like that, but there's a point of telling all these things. The thing is, Linux is not an operating system. When we say Linux, we basically refer to the term or the entity Linux kernel. So what is Linux kernel? Linux kernel is basically a system that manage the hardware, running process, handle the systems. uh, Systems mean the resources, kind of this hardware thing, and it's kind of a low level interface that between the hardware and the software things that communicates, I said before. So then how you say Linux? I'm using Linux. If it's not a Linux operating system, if it is not a operating system, then why we say I'm using Linux operating system? So there are two things. There is one Linux kernel, and there is Linux based operating system that are using Linux kernel. So here, for using the Linux kernel, or their ethics, there is modified kernel of Linux. For the ethics, we are saying it is a Linux operating system. So these operating systems are called Linux based distribution, or Linux distro. um, So let's comes to the term how Linux was invented, and how we got the thing Linux. So for the personal use cases of Linus Torvald, the creator of Linux kernel, he studied it for a personal project, kind of hobby, to replace the Unix system for his own, so that he doesn't have to pay for Unix system. Unix was paid, and at the time it was expensive too. So he started creating his own operating system called Free, and the term freak. I'm not sure about this term, that it was free, which I believe that there is free and Unix, which combines freaks. But I have seen some people to say there is free, there is freak because it has a side project, and there is Unix, so all it combines is freaks. FREAX. So you can definitely go and search on Google and find out which one is truth. Which one is true. And then he wanted to share with people, so he went to a FTP owner. At that time, FTP was kind of very expensive, not like today. You buy a shared cPanel hosting and get 10 GB of 10 gigabyte of FTP there. So he went to FTP owner. Maybe his name was Amy Ari Lemke. It's very hard. I always say Amy Lemke. It is ARI, then Lemke, LEMMKE. So he combined it and gave it a new name called Linux. which we are still being used as the official name, combined of Linux and Unix, both to this name. Then we got the Linux operating system, Linux based system, or Linux kernel, whatever. So what is Linux distro? Linux distro is a complete operating system that combines the Linux kernel, GNU utilities. Linux have collaborated or kind of contract with GNU to build a system that is free and usable by everyone, so that they can get out of the ecosystem of the paid environment. Paid ecosystem of the Unix at the time. So with some additional software libraries, tools, and utilities, we got the thing Linux distro. So what these things includes is system libraries like GNU utilities, the file system packages, a package manager like aptitude, yum, pacman, kind of thing. We have If you are using a graphical system, then we'll be must using a desktop environment and window manager like mm, xmonad. Desktop If you talk about desktop environment, then the most used one is xfc and kd is, these three is, but there are a lot like cinnamon, mate, which we will be discovering in next lectures, and some user applications like a browser or kind of this presentation software, which the one I'm using is LibreOffice Impress. There is a lot other like Apache Office Suite, WP Office. There are a lot of free tools to alternative Open Office. So there are a lot of options which is free. So there are also a lot of Linux distro. We'll go and discover them after covering all the slides. So it's let's keep it here for this lecture. So what is that advantages and disadvantages of a Linux operating system? So I will not talk about all this written stuff here, but what I will basically say is, if you are going to an office, if you have some kinds of serious task, then don't replace Windows at once. So basically I will show you some ways that you can still learn Linux by even on Windows in virtual systems, so that you don't have to be worried about your office task, and or it's kind of risky things to not know Linux. Without knowing Linux, you shift to Linux and you have some office tasks going on, then it's scary. So let's not do it. And why I'm saying it, because Linux has a very very required learning curve. Without it, you are totally useless, or you will feel that Linux is useless. So let's know about some Linux architecture, or some hard pronouncing words that are used on Linux architecture terms, and it will tell us basically why there is a learning curve. So Linux is built on a monolithic kernel and provides good system stability and high performance multitasking functionality. It includes a wide range of features such as SMP, which stands for symmetric multiprocessing, and primitive scheduling, matrices, and several development tools. The modularity, scalability, and multitasking capabilities of Linux kernel make it especially suited for embedded systems. Let's not talk about the things that we talked about, but I'm going to tell you something about the embedded systems, which is interesting. So, I'm having a kind of a toy, which is a motorbike for kind of a motorbike for kids. Maybe it's just 2 feet on height, and something like that. I don't know the exact length, height width of this, but this is for kids which have an embedded operating system inside of it. There is some drones that we buy on, or some kids sometimes buy some kind of toys, kind of their mobile phones. Looks like mobile. If you press the button, it makes some song. It plays some song. So they have something inside. What are they? There's embedded systems. They are Linux, especially. Not all of them are Linux, but there are few that are using Linux. This one is using the system that I created. um, is pretty good. I know the factory owner, so I went there and I approached it. So however, there are some systems around us like smart home systems. There are some toys that are using Linux systems that we don't know about. So here is the security things about Linux. Most of the people says on the internet Linux is not Linux is so secure that you can't hack it, but this is a misconception. Every program, every software have bugs and security issues inside them, so nothing is secure, nothing is that much of vulnerable. Why? Because why the concern raised? Because in Windows we see our system gets hacked, uh, just like it's nothing. There is nothing to stop these hackers. Why this happens? And we say that Windows Defender is useless just because we turn it off. We don't go through the scanning part. Also, we don't update it, and the main thing is we use some crack software, and while we are installing them we turn off the Microsoft Defender, and then we blame it when we get hacked. The same thing goes for the Linux too. If you are turning off this security tools like Parmo, Shell Linux, GR Security, there is the malware scanner, antivirus like Clamav, then and if you are get tricked by the hacker like social engineering or installing or running some script which you don't know what is written there, so you can definitely get hacked. The hacker can install a rootkit inside of your system that you can never remove. uh, he can install a backdoor, he can install a keylogger inside of your system. So it's up to you how you are using the Linux operating systems, and you can always go through these terms and search on Google, and we will also cover them in future lectures, how they are being uh, used in the system, how to use them, how to be more secured in a Linux environment. So this is for today, and Linux is used largely in kind of things like NASA, Russian government. There is I mean nearly 60% of governments is using Linux as their systems. Even on the Azure, Microsoft Azure, there are more Linux instances than Windows One. So Linux is growing still. It's a huge community, but it still keep growing um, on a huge number that I can't even describe. And so we'll go and find some Linux systems to install our use for our learning curve. I mean, to know what's the learning curve and make it our daily driver. So for them, I'll be choosing here. I'll go and search some distros over here. Okay. So first thing will be I will be searching some distros here like Ubuntu. Oh, sorry, this is Ubuntu. The first thing is how I'm searching Ubuntu is because it's the widely used and most common and have a huge community to go with. I mean, the community is very huge. You go to any forums and ask for help, they can definitely give you the direction how to use Ubuntu. So this is Ubuntu Enterprise Open Source. So why did that term open source being used here is because it is owned by a company called Canonical. So it's open source, but it is still being owned by a company. Okay, so it's based on the Debian system. So Debian is a Linux distro, and Ubuntu is based on Linux, and there is some other Linux systems like AstraOS maybe, or there are Kubuntu, Lubuntu. There are various kind of um, going to Ubuntu desktop, there is Ubuntu kind of thing that is our Linux flavor. Oh, okay, I got it. There is Catfish OS. Yeah, maybe Catfish OS. Sorry, Cutefish. Sorry, Cutefish. So it's based on Ubuntu. It's built on Ubuntu 2024. Sorry, it's 22. Yeah, it's 22. Sorry, I saw it differently. Okay, so these things are Ubuntu based. I mean, these are the flavors of Ubuntu, just a different desktop environment, kind of different flavor, different taste, different interface. So whatever, you can always go with them and test how they are, how's your experience over there, and which one you like, or which is very easier to use for you. And most of the people finds KDE Plasma. This is the KDE and the Plasma desktop, so is more of like an Windows system, like it seems like. So people finds this easier to use. But if you ask me, I prefer to keep myself restricted between the Mate, because it's lightweight and my system is not a high-end, and I don't have a lot of hardware specs to use KDE. I mean, the Plasma things consumes a lot of RAMs, which I really don't have, and I prefer more of a Mate system. So this is Ubuntu. Here is Cutefish, which is more of kind of fancy, have a very good, nice animated UI, modern. So it also consumes a lots of RAM, which I don't prefer. There is Debian, which have a huge learning curve. It is compiled with all the FOSS free open source software combined and creates the Debian system. And this Debian system is being forked and used by the Ubuntu canonical Ubuntu, and they are creating the new system. So as it is open source, you can go inside it and always customize it and create your own systems that you want. Okay, so let's explore some other distros, like there is okay, let's start with the most favorite one, which I like to use, is Linux Mint. There is Linux Mint. Okay, so especially in this is user friendly, it is beginner friendly, it's fast, it's optimized, and it has a huge community to learn from, to get help from, and it is also an industry leader in the Linux ecosystem. So there are some other two. The second one is Fedora workstations that my friends and peoples mostly find not kind of useful. They find it kind of the most interesting part of their Linux journey. They say this is the best for your day-to-day use cases, like a daily driver. So kind of I really don't use Fedora a lot, but I can't deny the fact that it's probably the best, the most updated, and kind of is on my preferences. This is the best things that you can always use. So my recommendation will be Fedora rather than Ubuntu. Ubuntu is very high, buggy, there is proprietary software, and if you think about Debian, that's full of FOSS, kind of generic things that you will never love. There is no flavor. There is no flavor inside of your ice cream, so you will probably like it. And in Fedora, it looks good, sleek, modern, so you don't have to go with cute fish and huge kind of animations, and which consumes a lot of RAMs. So however, there is still a lot of options here, like flavors. You can go with them, you will love them. I basically suggest you to use cinnamon, or if you are if you want to earn something user friendly, I recommend you to go with xfc in this scenario. Okay, here is the overview, and I hope probably you will love it. And okay, then the next one is that we are going to discover is Linux Mint. Oh, sorry, we have talked about Linux Mint. Sorry, CentOS. CentOS. I'm not going inside of this. There is Alma Linux. There is Rocky Linux. Uh, sorry. Okay, there is Gentoo. Gentoo is kind of the most complex system that will get you not find a the content creators, like most of them don't want to get in the Gentoo kind of tutorials, because they know people don't use it a lot. Even I have hardly used it, maybe for a week or so, because you have to compile everything, and there is not pretty much beginner friendly documentation there, so it's not suitable as a daily driver. At least for me, I think I keep myself restricted in a beginner friendly system. So even in this scenario, there is some other flavors. I mean, Gentoo based, there is some Gentoo based system, I forgot the name, maybe Pen2, sorry, it's Pen2. This one, yeah, it's based off Gentoo Linux. Sorry, I haven't used it, so I can say how good it is, but you can always if you know if you have experience on Linux, you can always download it, follow the instructions and install it. It's probably a good one. Then there is still a lot, but I'll skip a lot other systems, and I want to show you something that is Arch, which I love, to be honest. Why I love it? Because it is lightweight, it's customizable, and it's kind of simple. It is gives you everything, every controllers. It gives you kind of everything that you want to experience here. There's community, there is the compiling part that you want to get experience in the Gentoo system. There is already pre-compiled software available in various repositories, various mirrors. So there is always ways to explore, learn, test, and have a good good working environment. So let's go inside of it. So this is the Linux Arch Linux website, and why I am not recommend you to use the barebone Arch Linux system is because it doesn't have all those friendly utilities or desktop environment that we see in based distros things. Linux distro. Other Linux distros like Ubuntu, like Fedora, like CentOS, Linux Mint, Alma Linux, Rocky Linux. There is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So why I don't recommend you to use the barebone Arch Linux? Why I'm saying it bare bones? It's just like an skeleton. It doesn't have a desktop environment install. It doesn't have a graphical installer. It doesn't have um, kind of a lot of utilities like a browser. It doesn't even have the network package installed. The modem things or the Bluetooth, some other things. It is it gives you a control system, and it tells you do whatever you want. I don't care, install, customize, do whatever you want, but I'm not going to customize it for you. I have given you the controller, so you have to do pretty much everything, and you can do everything in here. So that's why its size is too low. It just have the kernel and several packages that are required to use, and gives you the best optimized experience. So it is very lightweight, you can see. But what I suggest you to use Arch based distros like Arcolinux, Archcraft, Arctis, Garuda, Manjaro. So they are very good. You can find a list here, but which I am going to recommend you is not Manjaro. I'm not going to recommend you Manjaro, because even after having a good community, pretty much everything, I am not going to suggest you this one, is because I prefer Arco Linux L series. Sorry, I mean I like Arco Linux first, and then I prefer this Manjaro. Then I have, there's some other like Endeavor. Sorry, Endeavor. I maybe the pronunciation is Endeavor West. Okay, I wrote it, spelled it right. It's Endeavor West. You can try these things, and there's some other like Archcraft. Maybe there's a lot other you can find here. There's Black Arch for penetration tester. There's Arch Strikes. There's Arctics. There's Garuda. There's Hyperbola. There's CowOS. This Parabola, Reborn OS, and I'm also using a Arch-based distro. It's projectbengal.com. You can just go over there and find a simply minimalist and customized system here. This thing is not available right now. This screenshot is old, and this version has went to end of life, EOL. So you can go to SourceForge and download this one if you want to experience the similar interface and commands that I'm giving, and see the, I mean, if you want to follow me 100%, then you can use Project Bengal, but I'll recommend you to explore further, use some other distro except that one I'm using to, so that you do some of your own tasks like homework. I'm suppose I'm installing Python using the command sudo pacman -s Python. This is what I use in Arch system in to install Python. But in Ubuntu or Debian based system, you like Cutefish, you will be using sudo apt install Python for removing it. I mean, removing Python from the Arch. I mean, this Arch system, I will be using sudo pacman -r. I'll place R in here. And why apt is not working? Because apt is not a package manager for the Arch based system, but pacman is. So pacman is not a game here. Pacman is a package manager, and if you want to use this one like Project Bengal boot, you can also download from FostTorrent, I guess. FostTorrent. If you are a fan of torrent systems, then you can download pretty much every operating systems from here. Like here is Rocky Linux, CentOS, Snell Linux, Blue Star. So you can go and search as Bengal boot. Okay, so you can use this one. There's Jorin, there is Arco Linux. You can also download Arco from here. So there is only one thing requires right now. So how we will get started with. So if you are on a Windows system, as I have said before, if you are office going person, then you should not go, I mean, shift on the Linux system without knowing it. I recommend you to use this kind of VMware, which is free for everyone right now. By the way, I had a license which is not installed at this moment because I have removed the caching part, I mean the cache and configurations from my Linux system. Okay, so you can remove it. You can go to VMware, is owned by Broadcom recently, and they have opened it for personal users, made it free for everyone. And there is a VirtualBox. It's open source and owned by Oracle. It's not open source, it's free to use for everyone. mm, but there is an issue, and people don't find it as a modern interface kind of thing. But to be honest, VirtualBox can do much more thing than the VMware. I mean, they have several use cases, pros and cons. There is Hyper-V. Sorry, there is Hyper-V. But for using all of these, you have to enable virtualization from your BIOS setting. You can also use WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. You can yeah, that's it. You can also use Kemo if you are a very fan of hot those fancy content creator uses for day-to-day use. Kemo is also available for Windows. And if you don't have a desktop, like some of my friends don't have desktop, but or even after they have a desktop, they don't want to use it for learning Linux because they have some task to do, or they require Windows and they have a very low space on their hard disk, so they prefer to start with an Android device. So if you are someone like them, you can use Tarmax. And everyone who uses Tarmax have basically some experience of Linux command line, like some commands like ls, cd, tree, and some other commands like how to install and use. I mean, pkg and aptitude, which is of more of a ubuntu package manager, have a kind of similar, I mean same. We in Tarmax you can use pkg or apt. They are just linked but the same binary, I guess. I don't use Tarmax a lot. Maybe for something when I go outside I use dns utils and similar type of command just to check. Okay, so you can use userland. This is an app that gives you some commands to install several Linux distros inside of your Tarmac system. So you can use these distros in your mobile and you can also use this graphical through a BNC system, but I don't recommend it unless you have a 4 GB of RAM on your Android device and 10 GB of free space, because you will really mess it up. Your phone will be slower when you are using it, will be hanging, so it's not recommended. I will recommend you to keep yourself stick into the command line things. So just install a barebone distro and use the command line. There is another one, maybe that's nlinux. I guess it's not available. Oh, it's also available on the Play Store, but I always prefer open source. I always install it from the F-Droid. I have used it for once or twice, maybe just for testing purposes. You can go through it and you can see it have pretty much every system that you can use. Okay, so you can learn using them. So it is for today, and you can install any of these systems and keep continue with ourselves. So your task is to install any of these distros or install any of the systems that you want, and if you require any help, you I'll be available on the communities to help you answer your questions. And Linux is an open world where you can ask questions to anyone and get help, like Stack Overflow. There's all the distros have their forums, wikis to help you. There's a lot of articles available online, and you also have me. So let's do it, boys.